Okay. Welcome. It's the Real and Raw Show. I'm Lynn Serrano,
And I'm Brian.
and we'll be right back after this. Welcome back. I feel like this is the Real and Raw Show today. I'm just real, and today it's not blush today. I tried a product on my face, and it's you get a little older, you try these little facial cream stuff, and sometimes they don't agree with the old stuff. So
I got
it's
plenty of facial creams.
this stuff is sometimes you better deal with your old aging screen, because this is I think my old aging face is better than this bubbly face from the reaction I'm getting from it.
Yeah.
It's all bubbled up now, so whatever.
Yeah. It's all good.
Oh man, so I'm being real and raw today. So how you doing today, Brian?
Rocking and rolling. Got a lot of stuff to do.
Oh yeah? When don't you have any stuff to do?
It's interesting time of year.
Yes, it is. It's getting to be more light out during the day.
Yeah.
And spring, well, and the groundhog saw his shadow or not, or we're gonna have.
I don't understand it, and nor do I really subscribe to it.
It's just, I think it's just a little news topic thing, right?
It's interesting about how people comment on things that it's just the talk. Hey Ted, and I'm like, whether or not we still have to live with it doesn't matter if we like it or not. It's going to be what it's going to be.
And and we're having a TED talk right now because Ted's here.
Yeah, Ted's here.
and that's a great thing that you're talking about that, because conversations, it's just whatever people bring up, and the fact that people sometimes are like, they always start their conversations about weather, and sometimes that's like the general thing. So how's the weather? If there's nothing else to talk about, that's what they talk about. So I think maybe that one February they just thought of groundhog, and let's just blame it on the groundhog.
You want to annoy me and get on my crappy list? Let's just talk about something very superficial that wastes both of our time.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing. I think that's where some people start the generalization conversation, and then you go into deeper and stuff. And I know we've had those conversations in the past too, but I think it is funny that some people, when you've been in a conversation or with the friends for the longest time, and then when they go back to this, back to basic conversation,
Yeah.
that's when you got to go into a deep conversation, because you're like, what the hell are we doing with the elementary back conversation?
I just think a lot of those conversations, I get it, if it's somebody you've met for the first time, but I'm more of a risk taker.
Yeah.
It's like, obviously everybody has their experience of networking or going to different groups. Number one, it's like, if you're fake, I don't want to be near you.
Yeah.
If you're trying to show off, I don't want to be near you.
Yeah.
If you're hypocritical, I don't want to be near you.
Yeah.
I just have a bad connotation when it comes to traditional networking many, many years ago, just because people would come in and hand out their business cards and all their propaganda and their collateral, and then they would just get up and leave, but supposedly they care about the group that they're in. Yeah. And I'm like, well, no.
Well, and I think that the way I judge or I want to meet people is I could see their smile and just their being, like I saw you in a group and I was just like his smile. And I was like, hey, I want to talk to you. Right. You, on the other hand, were like, I don't know why she wants to talk to me, but and then once we got to talk, it was like, I knew I wanted to talk to you. And then, because I don't go into like having preconceived, but I'm like, just the energy, just like, because I think I like to reach out more quieter people, because I know that I'm normally quiet. And then I feel like I love the energy part. So to me, when you say less to me, that grabs my attention, because then I know it's not going to be we have to be chatter. We just feel the energy first, and then the conversation will flow from there for me. Because for me, it's not intimidating.
Yeah.
So if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. I don't want to be disruptive in a group, but at the same time, it's if somebody's just talking the whole time, it's like, okay, how do we get access to people if we don't have the opportunity to,
Yeah.
or if it's not creative? I mean, somewhere along the line, somebody's going to have to take a risk.
Yeah.
Somebody's going to have to befriend somebody else, say hi, possibly say something different. But if it doesn't come from the heart, it's going to be fake.
Yeah.
You know?
But I mean, even in general though, like in a conversation, I mean, I think even though like I think just saying, "Hey, so what do you like?" I mean, theater or comedy or politics or whatever, something general to see what you do like
Right.
and little topics. And then, oh, yeah, okay, well, then we can talk about that later, or books, or are you into, romantic or comedy, this or that, get those little things and then say, oh, okay, we do have, or sports, what team do you like or what not team? And, those things. And peak the things that might be of interest later, so that you can be excited about. It's just like when you're going through App Store or, like Blockbusters. I'm going back a little.
Blockbuster.
You know, you're
Whoa.
just when you're looking through categories, you want to see what, might be of interest of, topics later and then go on to see if that person might be of interest, you know, but of topics. But it's just like you said, surface stuff.
Yeah.
It's just everybody, it's just like going to a dating site. And I haven't been in a dating site and I can't tell you how long. But like you
Right.
said, when they all say, oh, I'm a really nice guy or I'm a really nice girl. It's like shit, everybody says that. What are you
If
gonna say? I'm an asshole and I'm
if you
this.
say it, it's probably not true. You know what I mean? If
It's
you
just
have to overemphasize it, it's like,
like
okay.
overkill sell it. Yeah.
Well, but also though, psychologically, it's not what you say it is unless the person that is breeding it perceives it that way.
Yeah.
You can
Well,
say it till you're blue in the face, but unless it's the other person, in this context, a potential mate,
yeah. Well,
it's
and then
it's
and
not
the
that.
thing is, if you're so good that way, what the hell are you doing over here for me to read this? So the old telemarketer car sale approach, custom acquisition, is so
Yeah.
awful. Yeah,
Well,
not personal at
and
all.
Ted, you bring up a good point. Is I think a lot of people, and this is where risk taking comes in, and I think entrepreneurs, there's one of the skill sets that traditional entrepreneurs have is that they don't have a problem. In essence, they don't have a problem about how they're perceived
Yeah.
because they don't care.
Yeah, they're non-attached, don't have the emotions, and yet they're robotic. They're robotic so much that, it's just about the numbers and
Well,
all
and
that
to
stuff.
speak to what Ted is talking about, and thanks for commenting, Ted, is that also though it's like you can have, hundreds of questions, at the ready to ask people, but if they're not genuine and if
Yeah.
they're not thought provoking, what does it matter? You
Yeah.
know? I mean, and also though, what is your reasoning for being at that event?
Yeah.
Is it to get phone numbers, is it to meet new people, or is it to learn something new, right?
Right.
You need to identify what your purpose is. But for me, I don't go in and expect anything. If I can
Right.
contribute, if I can be of value to somebody, if I can get somebody to freaking smile,
Yeah.
that's worth it for me but then also, though, a bigger thing that shows up over time is did this person show up different or were they like everybody else?
Right.
you know, because I think a lot of people have a problem with they want to show up different and they want to be different, but they either don't know how or they fall back into that recipe of like everybody else because they do have to step out of their normal realm. And I think somebody that's an entrepreneur, there's no books, there's plenty of books written about it, but there's no like one right book that says, hey, you do these things and you're going to be a
Yeah.
successful entrepreneur. It doesn't
Yeah, and
exist.
for me, and I don't know about you, but for me, the best things have always been is when my attitude's been, I don't really want to go to this, or I don't know how this is going to be, but I'm going to go and I
Yeah.
don't have any expectations. That's been every time I've had that attitude is go, oh, I know I need to go because that's been the best time
Yep.
because I have not spent any energy or time to know how it's going to come out. But
Yep.
I'm like, oh, this is the best time because and that's the time I want to jump in. It's the spur of the moment, or no, nothing but just going and being present and
Yep.
keeping my mind open because then I'm like, oh, this is the best experience because I didn't give it any thought.
I think that
Eh,
there's too much overthinking when it comes to these things. Like, ooh, out of 50 people, I might know 10 of them. Okay, so you got to spend 75% of your time with people you don't know or whatever. Okay, I understand the thought, but I think it becomes too thinking based.
yeah, yeah,
Instead of just rolling around a room with a smile on your face. Plus, it's for me, it's I don't want to come across as fake or phony or like everybody else. So I get a little, I'm extroverted, but it's like
yeah,
when you have these staged gatherings where everybody knows that they're going to go in and probably be sold to, or here's my card or whatever. I think it's just too staged for me.
yeah,
And so what I would rather do is I would rather go in and like set up the room, for instance, like engage with it, say hi to people when they're grabbing their name tag or something.
yeah,
What did Ted write up there? The family friend approach to customer acquisition is so much better. Building a relationship and keeping customers is so much more important than the churn and burn. You're a number and not a customer approach to business is not cool anymore. No, and it never will be. The
yeah,
unfortunate part about that, Ted, is it has to be their mindset. It has to be their foundation as a human being, because people that fall into these these trainings, or some of these people that are teaching this stuff, that the minute that they stop doing that training is the minute they're going to go back and do whatever's there for them, versus their foundation being
yeah.
relationship building. How much value can I give somebody else? Until the next lesson, when their foundation is kind of whatever's there, they're just doing what they're told to do, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's the right thing to do.
No, and that's the sad thing is that you can tell people that are money driven
Oh,
and not and that's the sad
and I'm not
part.
saying that there's anything wrong with that, but the thing about it is
No,
that the one word that Ted talked about that takes time and effort, and you never know when it's going to happen, but it's something to aspire to, is relationship.
right,
If you're
exactly.
if you're trying to expedite a relationship, good luck with that, because it happens when it happens. It doesn't happen when you want it to.
Right, right. Well, and the thing is that it's what's sad is that, you know, those people are not listening when somebody it's not right for the person that, they're going through health issues or they're going through personal things and it's just not the right time for them. And that person, that salesperson is just not listening
Right.
to that person. And so it's just a detachment it's not in sync and it's a sad commentary when that happens, but it happens a
Well,
lot.
Well, it's interesting because I love challenging people where they say that they're relationship based, and you don't try to back them into a corner,
Right.
but you really test them on their integrity.
Mhm.
And it's so cool because it's like when they have no answer, and you can kind of get the feeling where they want to expedite the process, but they're committed to a relationship,
Yeah.
you know, and you get them to admit, or you get them to see it without saying it, that what you're intending to do is different from what you're saying you're going to do.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
fun, because
Yeah.
it gets them to, whether they'll admit it or not, it's like, okay, if you're not living with integrity, it's going to burn you a lot more. It's going to make you look silly.
Oh, yeah, and it happens every day, and people are just they contradict their own words
Well, and
all the
they
time.
and they and more times than not, they look externally. They all of their blame and excuses externally. They never look within to be like, what I never did right, or if they showed up properly, or how did they consider treating somebody else.
Yeah.
They never look at that. And
Yeah.
Ted goes on to say, people need to also understand, if you don't love the product or service you sell, you won't truly sell it, and eventually you will fall on the map and off the map in sales. I think it goes deeper than that, Ted. I think it goes deeper because people don't buy products and services; they buy the experiences, they buy the outcomes, they buy the results. You
Yeah.
know, and I think the really fun part about it is that as a professional, you get to create that experience.
Right.
you know
If you're
and by experience, I'm talking about every touch point, every moment throughout that customer journey, from the minute they contact you to the minute they either buy or they don't buy, and after. Everything there in between is an opportunity to paint that picture in terms of how they perceive you and how you can serve them.
right. And it always there's proof in the pudding as per se.
Right.
You're either a byproduct of the product, somehow, or it, and it's always a telltale. You can always tell the person that really believes, um, their product and not. And it's, time will tell that.
Right.
And there's no, again, that's about the integrity.
Yeah, because I
And
mean, you can either compete against or differentiate from, as Jeffrey Gitomer talks about.
mhm,
And it's like the competing against, well, then you're a commodity and you're making very little money, if any profit at all, right?
yeah,
Versus differentiating from, okay, that means that you're not going to fall into the trap of, well, how do you compare against this other company? We don't.
yeah,
I'm going to if you want to do the competing part, go ahead and do it.
right.
But I'm going to show our distinctions. I'm going to tell you about what
Well,
makes us different.
and then of course, again, it becomes the part of the relationship that, if I'm buying a product from you, Brian, and I respect you and I know your family, and you're a family man, and I want to support, I want to support you. Why? Because you support my business, and vice versa. I mean,
Right.
it gets to be more than a handshake. It gets to be more of the ecosystem. It gets, everything is, a uniform of how everything evolves, and it all starts from a friendship and a relationship, and they buy the experience, they buy the support, they
Mhm.
they understand that if they support you, you're going to support them. I mean, it's just all encompassing, and people don't understand that, and they forget, if you take that one screw out
Right.
and it's loose, the
Right.
whole thing is not going to operate
And I
right.
think people that are based on relationships, they have a recipe, right? They have an SOP, a standard operating procedure, and they don't waver from it. They
Yeah.
do it every time, no exceptions, all the way down to, like, let's say they fulfilled upon everything that they did for like a nurture sequence, like an email nurture
Mhm.
sequence, for instance. They follow it all the way to the end, and then if somebody chooses not to do business, they don't have any harsh feelings,
Right.
but they tried their best to offer and do what they said they were going to do. But eventually, you got to leave that ball in somebody else's court and see if they respond or not. You know, um, there's such a thing. It doesn't really exist anymore because of automation and stuff. But the runaway bride, there was a
Yeah.
term that was popular many years ago, and what it pretty much was is that the bride would have all the control. You may interact with her at a bridal expo or something like that, and eventually there would be a time where whatever communication that you wanted to offer was past where it would resonate, and then you feel like you're playing catch up as a vendor, as a professional, instead of having it be mutual. you know
Mhm.
I can't help you unless you want to be helped, but the only way we're going to know that is if we invest a little time to see
Yeah.
if what kind of value can we create together. Can we
Yeah.
create any value together? Do we like each other?
Yeah.
These are some basic things that I think a lot of people that are dollar driven, okay, but the minute that somebody is perceived as a set of dollars and as just another paycheck, it's not really going to sit well with most people.
Yeah.
Now, there might be some things that are more commodity based where that's just the way that industry is, but it doesn't necessarily mean it has to be.
Right.
You can create an experience out of being an being an Uber driver, or serving people in a grocery store, right? It's
Yeah.
just a matter of if you love what you do enough to want to do that, and you're willing to do something different.
Right.
Because a lot of people are not willing to do it because of how they're going to be viewed, how they're going to be thought of. And to somebody that is truly a difference maker, they don't care
Right. We're
because their belief is deeper than how they're perceived.
Yeah. Well, we're almost out of time here.
Yeah.
So yeah, for not having a topic, I want to thank Ted here and this was the last thing
Oh
he
yeah.
said, but I want to thank him for helping us with conversation.
Yeah, so let me read this here. What I meant by that is that if you sell things you wouldn't use yourself, you won't have the same belief in the product, and you come across a fake salesman because you never experienced using it. Yeah, that's kind of like somebody that's going to sell, I don't know, $250,000 cars, but they never could afford buying one themselves.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know,
for
I
sure.
think
For
that
sure.
there's a certain I think that there's a certain humility to that where it's like,
Yeah.
hey, I could never afford one of these, but I know everything about it.
Yeah.
You
Well,
know?
no, I mean, and even in that point, I mean, the car dealership would let the car salesman, drive them to and from whatever, but they'd still be in the driver's seat to feel them and be with them. But yeah, they'd have to feel, they still have to be the experience.
And I
Um,
I think that they would also have to be wired mentally,
right.
that they would that they know how to cater and to sell and to make an affluent audience or an affluent customer. They would
Right.
make them feel valued,
Right.
you
And
know,
to
of what they're expecting, how they
right.
want to be served.
Right.
How you show up for them is not like you could just swap out people from one
Right.
industry to the next and it's going to go well.
Right.
There's some nurturing there in terms of what an affluent customer may need to see and may need to feel. That's going to be different than somebody else in a, I don't know, a different dealership where the vehicles are less expensive.
Right. Well, and again, I mean, I've seen, and I've known of car salesmen, and I know one of my good friends, a car salesman, when he was younger and out of high school. That you know, when you're selling a car to start out with, I mean, they and back in the day, they would let you have one of the dealer. You would have one of the cars, and you would rotate them. But the cool thing is like you get to be enjoying these cars till you made enough money to buy your own car,
Right.
kind of thing. So you say, wow, you just you enjoy what you're doing, and people can see that you're enjoying driving something. If you show the passion in what you're selling and what you're doing, it's you know people enjoy the enthusiasm of what you're selling and doing. Then you're selling that experience that they're like, wow, this is great. And you forget that you are a product of what you're selling, and you're selling that experience, and you should be selling what you think is really cool,
I think
and
too is that, like, let's just take a car salesman, right?
yeah,
Is that whatever perception there is, good, bad, or other, about that specific, and I know car dealerships are notorious for this. It's like they're high pressure, they're sticky, they're whatever. It's like, okay, whatever that perception is on the macro,
yeah,
choose to create your own experience so that, okay, they might have that macro view of you until they experience what it is you do, and then all of a sudden they're like, whoa, I came in thinking car dealerships were like this. Now I've had this different experience.
right,
Guess what's going to happen? I'm going to tell everybody I know because it's totally different than what the stereotype is.
right,
And that's
and
something to create. That's something
yeah,
that will generate a lot of customers, a lot of relationships, and show something because you're willing to step out of the norm. You're willing
right,
to do something different that most people are not willing to do. And the
yeah,
crazy
and
part about it is a lot of people think it takes a lot more work. I think the more of the work is up here to create what it is, and then through the course of time, you generate those actions.
like everything in life, it all starts in your thoughts and trying to change them, and you know that right here, that's where we live every day, people.
But
And if
but also though, it's like you have to take those thoughts and bring them into action.
Mhm.
The minute that the thought does not turn into action, it's just a wasted idea,
Yeah,
and that's okay, right? But if you were able to harness those ideas and, like my therapist said, just get started.
yeah,
If you were to see something from start to finish without all the noise that you have in your head and of the world, who knows what you could do,
yeah,
instead of falling the victim of, like, and that's the problem with some of these business masterminds, is that I think that, you have somebody that's like not a radical thinker in a bad way, but somebody that's a very big creative where nothing is off limits. It's almost like they want you to reel it in instead of going for whatever that is, where somebody's on a different wavelength of creativity and they're like, whoa, I can't do that. Well, where do you want to go?
yeah,
Because, just like in dollars, like, okay, this company charged $50 more than that one. That's not a big enough distinction in terms of me perceiving you more than other people. Cars, people, salespeople, doesn't matter. It's like, what is the distinction here? Is it the idea? Is it the product? Is it the quality? Is it how I'm going to feel as a customer? What is it? Because it's not everything.
yeah. Well, Ted said one more comment, and then I'll
Sure.
let you
Yeah,
answer
yeah,
real quick, and then we're going to get going.
yeah, yeah. Okay, so I take the approach with every customer that I don't. If I sell you on a product or service, I care that I uh, sell you a product or service that you appreciate. I sold you because, yeah, if it's what you want and need, yeah. I love the part about it is that it gets totally disarming and maybe that resonates, Ted. It gets totally disarming when the prospective customer feels that it's got to be a good fit first.
Yeah,
I
for
don't
sure.
want you to buy anything from me if this feels weird, if we
Yeah,
can't complement each other, if we can't do this collaboratively. I think that there's a certain humility there where they take their hands off the proverbial wallet because you show up differently. That it's like,
right,
hey, in order for this to work, you got to love the product, you got to love the service, and I got to love that I'm going to be servicing and talking to you if you have an issue,
right.
And I always tell my customers, it's like after I interact with a prospective customer, I take some time to envision, can I see myself sending you out a Christmas card or an anniversary card 15 years after you get married?
Yeah,
Because if I'm faking it, if I'm not going to do it, well, then that might be a sign of if I should do the event or
yeah. If you want to be connected or not. Yeah,
not.
yeah, for sure, for sure. It's you're in it for the long haul.
100%.
Yeah, for sure. If
And I
it's not
think, and I
quick
think that
and
what you're speaking about, Ted, is that where you want to make sure it's kind of like the lady in a woman's boutique that is just
yeah,
there to push products, regardless if they look good on the lady, right? Instead of like, okay, I'm going to sell you that because I'm looking at my commission, but I'm not looking at it as if you're ever going to come back here because your friends are going to see it. They're going to say, who sold you that?
well,
Bad
uh,
idea.
it depends what boutique you're going to, but yeah.
Instead
Like,
of looking after your best interest,
yeah,
would you rather have the best interest or would you rather make a sale but never get another one because they see
right,
they
yeah,
saw what you were in it for?
right. Well, boutiques are normally the owners themselves, so they care more than I would say, like going to Ross's
Oh,
to where they're an employee.
yeah.
So
Two totally different shopping experiences right there.
exactly. So what I'm saying, a boutique, it would be an owner. So, and I say that because Debbie is a boutique owner.
Yeah.
She would want you to come back. So
Yeah.
I'm standing up for boutique owners out there. Uh, but a franchisors, an employee, they get paid. They don't care if you come back.
It's
You
they
know,
to
it's the
some
mindset. It's the mindset. The employee doesn't realize that they have to be good so that the employees, so that the guests or the customer comes back so that they get a paycheck for that. They don't realize that. They think the boss is going to pay me whether you buy that or not.
It's
So
interesting how that works. The difference between an employee and a business owner about if I don't sell anything, I don't make anything. Versus the employee thinks like, oh well, my paycheck just magically appears into my account every
I'm
week.
just saying because that's and still it's to this day, like the baby or the older generation thinks, you got to get the job and have the paycheck. No, don't work for yourself. So I mean, we should talk about that someday. The
Huh?
really different mindsets of, no, you got to work because there isn't a go work for 30 years and retire anymore. There
Not
isn't that
anymore.
no
No,
more. So
not anymore.
there's still two different such butting heads. That would be a great conversation, but it's still two different conversations going on about that, and people are still confused that they just don't exist you know
Yeah.
the way they did. Didn't hire employee. Yeah. So anyways, we can keep going on today, but
Thanks
we
for
we
being here,
need to.
Ted. We appreciate
Yeah,
you
Ted.
being here,
Yeah, I
and
hope you can
anybody that
show
watches
up.
this after.
We're usually here on Mondays, so we are gonna. Anything in closing there, Brian?
No, how about you? How
No,
about
I,
you for
I am
closing?
super good. Again, I think not having a topic and just shooting at the hip here, real and raw, is working out well for us. So again, thank you for being here,
Likewise,
and
yeah.
I appreciate you, and I look forward to seeing you next Monday.
Yeah, thanks to everybody that watching. Ted, thanks for watching. We'll see you next week, and anybody else catching the replay, thanks for
All
watching.
right, bye.
Bye.